intelligence?
They should be prosecuted.
Who specifically? Do we know who did it? Will you be able to find out?
They can find out. If they want it, they could find out easily. You know, you go up and tell the reporter, national security, who gave it. You have to do that. And I suspect we'll be doing things like that.
Well, those pilots were so courageous.
That's Donald Trump saying a couple things pretty dangerous. And I think he's confused. I can't tell if he's saying that he believes the Democrats could just go up to reporters and say, I was the one who leaked. But seemingly how it's interpreted by most people is that Trump there is saying it's easy to figure out who leaked. It wasn't even intelligence. It was just a general, hey, here's the preliminary assessment about the strike on Iran and its success, or where it didn't totally live up to Trump's promise. And he's saying that, yeah, we could just force reporters to tell us who their sources are, which gets very dangerous very fast, so that we can then prosecute Democrats. That's what he's saying so casually, is just, yeah, let's just force the reporters because of national security to tell us who leaked to them. He has no evidence that it was a Democratic legislator or anything like that, but then that can give us the information necessary to prosecute Democrats if they were even the leakers. Again, he's provided no evidence of that. Dangerous stuff. Lots to go through in today's show, including much confusion, inner Republican Party clashes, Tom Tillis even going out to say, hey, this is going to cost him his career. He's not going to run for re-election now, but I have to say this bill of Trump's is terrible. It's an atrocity. It's a scam, a political crime, and so much more. But picking up where we left off here, Media reports sick. Trump lashes out at CNN news team over bombshell report he calls hoax. And this is what I went over before, which is that Trump got out of the Iran nuclear agreement that Obama had struck, saying that a big issue he had with it was that we released sanctions in exchange for them not developing a nuclear weapon. It was a diplomatic solution to that problem so that you wouldn't have to do the sort of strikes that Trump did. But Trump would say that's like handing cash to Iran and they back terrorists, and so it's bad. But then there was reporting that Witkoff and his team here dealing with Iran is planning to at least propose a very similar agreement. But Trump's denying that now. Who in the fake news media is the sleaze bag saying that President Trump wants to give Iran $30 billion to build non-military nuclear facilities? Never heard of this ridiculous idea. It's just another hoax put out by the fake news in order to demean. These people are sick. And then it goes through what the context was, which is among the terms being discussed, which have not been previously reported, is an estimated $20 to $30 billion investment in a new Iranian non-enrichment nuclear program that would be used for civilian energy purposes. And then this is being crafted by Trump's national security team and different officials, and is starting to look eerily similar to the very deal that Trump scrapped up. Now, is that happening? That's what because here's what can take place. His team is told by him, all right, I don't like the idea of just continuing to escalate conflict like we were telling or warning him of. So can you go get some sort of diplomatic solution? They go and they go, all right, what are our only levers we can pull? Well, you have the stick, you have the carrot. On the carrot side, we could release sanctions. We could allow for them to have access to more money and then require them not to develop nuclear weapons. And that could be the exchange. And then Trump doesn't even know that's really happening. And so we get here where he denies a story that's almost certainly true. And now his team is going to have to themselves deny ever pursuing such a thing. Now, look here again. We covered this in a segment, but I want to just touch on it since we're on the subject of this interview. Look at the confusion here. I want to know what I can hear the words that he's saying. What does Trump think he's saying? Like what thinking activities going on up here when he says this?
So they had three main sites, and we knew they're going to have to either give them up. And I thought we could do it during negotiation, and we just about had it done. And then they said, we want enrichment. Enrichment doesn't mean like air conditioning, and it doesn't mean to jack up your car. Enrichment is a bad word. And I said, you got so much oil, what do you need that for?
president of the United States. Well, I mean, that's his analysis. So yeah, I'm sure his team isn't able to fill him in on the inner workings of their negotiations or whatever with Iran. Again, thank you all so much if you're joining live and you become a member by clicking the join button on YouTube like Amanda Robb did. Then I will thank you because you deserve to be thanked. Karen Nines has been a member for 4 months. Said, thank you, Luke, finally catching a full live. Keep up the great work. Great to have you, Karen, and everyone else. Now we have this.
It's good, but you have to get it done fast. Because in China, you know how long it takes? One day. It's called President Xi. Boom. It's okay. Over here, we're going to have almost the same thing. We're getting fast approvals. And you can do nuclear because nuclear now.
So he brought up President Xi, and it just reminded me it reminded me of that. That went in my head for sure. But it also reminded me of this photo I saw circulating. Where people were saying it was President Xi out at some sort of, I don't even know what this is, like some sort of pride parade. He's in leather. And I just thought, in a world where we're striking Iran, in a world where China oversees human rights abuses, in a world where our trade relations are collapsing and the respect for the United States is collapsing, I want to believe that President Xi went in a disguise so that he could wear leather at a parade. I think we need that. I think we need, in a world so dark sometimes, we need to know that President Xi by day is a brutal ruler and by night dances. He dances. And that's why Trump likes him so much. Because I think this whole thing from Trump, his like famous dance move, people call it the double jerk. I don't call it that because I don't really get what that means. Is it because like he's a jerk twice? Is that why they're saying this is a double jerk? I don't know. But I think it's because really he hates that he has to, he hates that he has to fit into this mold and he wishes he could just dance. He could just, I think that's a lot of the resentment towards these parades from some of the MAGAs is you see someone so, and we'll get to maybe a parade going a little bit far a little bit later today, but I think ultimately somewhere in there, the rage towards the LGBTQ, etc. community is feeling like, oh, they just get to, and I don't just mean literally, I mean spiritually dance. And so Trump sees Xi Jinping, he's so strong, iron fist, but maybe he admires the fact that by day Xi can do that, and by night he can have a leather mask on and dance. So that's just kind of what I thought when I saw that split screen. That's obviously, you get the point. I have something special for producer Cole here. Take a look.
Opened up coal. We were closing all our coal mines all over the country, and yet we still have a lot of coal. We use the generating plants of coal because it's a strong.
He thinks he has a lot of coal. I have a lot of coal.
Clean, beautiful coal.
That's right. That's right. I got a lot of coal sitting in that chair right there.
Yes. And we're doing coal. So we have everything.
We're doing coal. Monday to-do list, coal.
Reform. I don't want windmills destroying our place. I don't want, these solar things where they go for miles and they cover up a half a mountain that are ugly as hell. And by the way, the panels are all made, and the windmills, they're all made in China. Okay? China! Opened up.
I am really disappointed that wasn't the clip. That wasn't the clip. Did he say clean, beautiful coal here? Dang it. I'm devastated. If this weren't live, I would go find the clip. Wait, let me see. There was a clip and he said the clean, beautiful coal again. I just totally ruined it. I totally ruined it. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Well, that's that. You get the point. Ha 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 ha. We have fun. Okay. Because his name is Cole. Like, but C-O-L-E. But the Coles DOAL is different. It sounds the same. Okay, that's enough of that. Republican Senator Tom Tillis went on the Senate floor and said, I'm a Republican and Trump's going to attack me, and Trump did attack me over this. But I need to say that whatever lies we're telling within our party about how this isn't ripping away healthcare from people, this isn't a redistribution of wealth from the bottom to the top, Trump's big legislative agenda, this isn't a legislative atrocity. I can't stand by those lies. Even me, Tom Tillis. I don't know if this, maybe he already had made the decision. I'm sure he did, but he quickly after making this speech and Trump attacked at him saying he's going to primary him, Tillis then announced he's not running for re-election. And the person who is very seriously considering replacing him in North Carolina might surprise you. We'll get to that.
That between the state-directed payments and the cuts scheduled in this bill, there's a reduction of state-directed payments. And then there's the reduction of the provider tax. They can't find a hole in my estimate. So what they told me is that, yeah, it's rough, but North Carolina's used the system. They're going to have to make it work. All right. So what do I tell 663,000 people in 2 years or 3 years when President Trump breaks his promise by pushing them off of Medicaid because the funding's not there anymore, guys? When the White House senators advising the president are not telling him that the effect of this bill is to break a promise. And you know, the last time I saw a promise broken around health care, with respect to my friends on the other side of the aisle, it's when somebody said, if you like your health care, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it.
We don't need the, it all goes back to Obama or whatever. But point is, good for him making that criticism. Can I just say though, Tom, I appreciate that you're saying this. And this is kind of the end of your career in Republican politics. But Tom, are we really going to do the whole, I don't think people are telling Trump this? Why is that? Why does he get treated like a baby all the time? Well, it must be always that when he does a strike people don't like, they say it's probably because the warmongers around him convinced him. Or whenever he crafts his landmark, his signature legislative agenda, they go, I don't think people around him or his advisors aren't telling him, informing him of how bad this bill is. It's his bill. We need to stop. If you're going to speak out against it, that's good and I'll root you on. But please stop taking away the agency from Trump. This is his bill. If he hasn't read it, which he hasn't, obviously, but if he hasn't, that's his fault. You know, push, as he's been calling people saying, I'm going to ruin your life if you don't pass this. You don't do that and not know what the bill does. And if that's true, then you are so callous you don't even care about accidentally signing into law a bill that would rip, I think the latest estimate's 12 million people off of their health care. Explicitly, specifically, exclusively low-income folks who absolutely can't afford to lose their health coverage under Medicaid and food benefits under SNAP. If it's either Trump knows, which I think he knows, what the bill does, and that's horrific, and so you blame him. Or he's allowed other people to put that together, and he's lobbying for it hard, and that's even worse because he doesn't even care enough about people's lives to understand the bill, and this prompted Trump saying, Tom Tillis has hurt the great people of North Carolina. Even on the catastrophic flooding, nothing was done to help until I took office. That's wrong. Trump actually ended up not following through on aid to North Carolina like he promised. Then a miracle took place. Tillis is a talker and complainer, not a doer. And he's even worse than Rand Fauci Paul. What? What is that even? What is the Rand Paul was super against Fauci to an insane degree. I don't even know what is Trump defending Fauci there? I don't know. Who knows? But that led to Tillis then announcing he's not running for re-election. And that's, it's a big deal. Bilbo Jenkins said, Lukey, you look extra adorable today. Well, that's sweet. You don't look disgusting like most days. Good for you. I've tried to stop that. I really appreciate that comment, but I've tried to stop saying like, oh, you look. The thing that we all got to be careful of is you look really pretty today. You know what I mean? That's why it was very sweet. He said extra adorable, perfect, beautiful Bilbo, but I've noticed when I'll say to someone like, oh, you look so pretty today, I think, wait, is that a necessarily comparative statement? No, but it kind of comes off that way. It's like I had a friend when I was doing music and I performed a song for him and he was like, oh my gosh, that actually sounds good. That's like actually good. Like, you've played a lot for me, but that one was actually good. And I said, well, thank you, but what do you mean actually? What does that little word mean? And he said, well, I remember I saw you play one time and I was thinking, it's fine. But now I'm like, no, actually I would listen to that. Like, I don't hate that. I was like, this is just going all in the wrong direction. Former producer Ben is who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say his name, but his name was Ben. And then I quit music. So Air Rescue Vet became a member by clicking the join button on YouTube. I appreciate you. And Simone said it's doing cool. No, that was just a wordplay. There's no doing call anywhere in this vicinity. We got HR violations out the wazoo this morning.
Beautiful call.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Trump's True Social post, he said, this was so mysterious and no one knows who he's talking about. He just said, Jamie, you do such a great job. So tough, so insightful, and so incredible. I watch you all the time and you just never miss. Jamie, as president, I just want to tell you this. And thank you for the incredible work you are doing. DJT, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. How is he not drunk? I don't get it. Take that down. You know what this calls for? What this reminds me of? How is this not a correct descriptor for this man?
You're Willie Nelson high. You're smoking some of the best dope God ever put breath in.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Yeah. Willie Nelson high. The best. Satan's. What is it? What is it? You know what I'm saying?
Devil's lettuce.
Devil's lettuce. Thank you. The best devil's lettuce that God ever put breath into. Golly. How is he not intoxicated? Look, first of all, the syntax is wildly confusing. He signs off twice, DJT, and then Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America.
A brain.
And no one knows who this Jamie is. Like, take this down. Trump Jamie. It led to headlines of Jamie Lannister? Trump baffles with these comments. You have people speculating just who is he talking about? Jamie Weinstein? Like, who? Is he thinking Jesse Waters? Because he said he watches. And then, Jamie, as president, I just wanted to tell you this. And thank you for the incredible... That's not a sentence. That's not how sentence works. All right. Okay, I told you, Tom Tillis, not running for re-election means there's going to be an open Senate. And why is Jaden giving me this look? Is this super chat off the wall?
I just was seeing the article in preview.
The next article. Merciless 531 said, "Stop being so handsome, big, beautiful Beasley. Don't encourage him, Cole." Cole? When in my entire life has Cole encouraged me? That's my question. That's my question. Okay, so Tom Tillis not running for re-election, and that means there's an open seat. And who might run for it? Lord Trump.
Okay, I'm going to throw up.
Lord Trump, the Daily Beast reports, is seriously considering Senate run to replace retiring GOP senator. There might soon be another elected Trump in Washington. President Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Lord Trump, is seriously considering a Senate run in her native North Carolina. Another source close to the Trump family told NBC News that there is a high chance she will run. Yeah, I think they want to make it a dynasty so bad. They want it so bad. Republicans against Trump posted, breaking: a source close to the Trump family tells NBC News that Lord Trump is strongly considering jumping into the race to replace Senator Tom Tillis in North Carolina. The race will be over before it begins, the source added. Now, I saw some people say if she does jump into the race, then she'll definitely be the nominee. But North Carolina, kind of purple. We could see, as I feel a brutal sneeze coming on, we could see a victory, and that could help Democrats get hold of the Senate. Because the sneeze is coming, let me play this clip of CNN reporting on the latest update on Trump's bill.
The Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan referee on the Hill, also added a new layer of complexity to the equation overnight. It now says that the Senate version would result in 12 million more people becoming uninsured, and that the Senate version also is more expensive, will increase the deficit even further, even more than the House version, which was already a bitter pill to swallow for many lawmakers. CNN's Arlette Saenz is on the Hill for us this morning and joining us now. So
don't swallow. Just don't swallow. That's my message. She says it's a bitter pill to swallow. But why are these Republicans assuming they have to swallow? They don't. If it's such a bitter pill, spit it out. In this case, it's like a cyanide pill. It's not, this is, those humongous, I had recently met these just inhumanely sized pills. And you're like, God, just disgusting. But you got to, because you're sick or you have some medication you need. But this is a poison, it's a cyanide. And they're talking about how bitter of a pill it is to swallow. Just don't swallow it then. It's really that simple.
Let's set the scene for everyone. It was a busy weekend on Capitol Hill in the Senate. What is about to happen this morning?
Yeah, Kate. Well, the Senate worked through the weekend and they will be back at it this morning. In the coming hour, we anticipate the Senate will start the so-called Voterama. This is a process where senators can introduce amendments to President Trump's big agenda bill.
So essentially where it is now is the Senate has made changes and they're in the debate portion. And so we're very close to seeing a floor vote on this bill that will throw millions of people off of their benefits in exchange for tax cuts for the rich. While all this is happening, you're thinking, I'm sure, what is Nancy Mace posting? Like, where is she? What is she posting about how we shouldn't throw people off of Medicaid? Is she posting about how we shouldn't implement one of the greatest thefts of low-income Americans, handing it to the wealthiest? What is she thinking about? This. Nancy Mace said, just another day in the office. And it's a photo of her. And a lot of people commented on, like, what's going on. But I'm not really concerned about how good of a photo it is of her. But what I am interested in is how she has up on her whiteboard. Is it a to-do list? Is it her priorities? Is it Make America Great Again? No, it says on her whiteboard, very prominently in this photo, your mental illness is not my reality. And she's referring to trans people because she posts about them every day. What are you doing? What are you doing? What is, like, that's, you think about this so much. It's really weird. Whatever debate we're having is screaming back and forth at each other. You do realize, like, the amount of time she's spent on this one topic where she goes and, I don't know, has like a a pitchfork outside of bathrooms and she just checks everyone's genitals. Come here. Show me. Come here. You got a vagina. Come here. Let me check it. Come here. No, we can't. Come here. Right? That's kind of what she does, I think. And the time she spent doing that, she could have done so many other more beneficial. Like, think about if every time she went on TV to talk about bathrooms or your mental illness is not my reality or whatever, she just every single time was on a show talking about protecting Medicaid, which she doesn't want to do. But you could make a real difference. You could really benefit millions of people's lives, save people's lives. And among all of, like, a really historic moment where not only will the debt be worsened, income inequality exacerbated, but literally in an unprecedented fashion, removing life-saving benefits from people. In that moment, she's thinking, you have a certain type of genitals, and I think that you are mentally ill. And I just wanted you to know that again. And what does she say? Stand, hold the line. She always says a hashtag hold the line. Hold what? Who are you? No one's even talking about this. What are you doing? Yeah, okay. Hold the line. Nancy Mace, hold the line. It's like she'll put up oh, she took a selfie. This got us into trouble because the Photoshop selfie came across my desk. But she took a selfie with a bathroom thing, and I guess it was one of those bathrooms where it's just a solo bathroom, so it's not gendered. You could just go in there and lock the door, and you're by yourself. So nobody cares. I don't care who was there before. I'd actually prefer it, honestly, to be of the opposite gender before I go in there. Last time I said that, and I said men's restrooms are just nasty, somebody was like, you haven't seen women's restrooms. Okay. All right. I would put a lot of money on the bet that men's are worse. But whatever. Point is, she just took a selfie with a gender-neutral bathroom sign and said something like, no, hold the line. It's like, you're not at war. What are you... You're talking about something that's going to impact so many people's lives, and you're still focused on other people's genitals. Stop it. I would say it's fine to think about other people's genitals, like, sometimes. Like, if you're confronted with them, you know? In sexual context, I presume you would think about the person's. If you're a doctor and you're doing surgery and, like, someone had a penis decapitation, and so you're having to, like, put it back together, like, of course, then you're going to think about somebody else's genitals. But if you're just randomly, I would say if you find yourself once a day randomly thinking about a stranger and their genitals, there's just something weird going on. And I say it that way because she wants to enforce, and her obsession with the bathroom thing is like, we heard the story of, who was it? It was like Marjorie Greene went into the women's restroom, or Lauren Boebert, someone like that, and saw someone they thought was trans and went, there's a man in the bathroom. And, like, Nancy Mace swung through the window with, like, a cord and, like, had a bow and arrow and threw flash grenades and was like, everyone get low to the ground. And she checked out the person. The person wasn't even a trans person. They just harassed someone, and it would have been insane if it was trans person. Just go about your business. But they want to do checks. They want to do genital checks. It's weird. Stop thinking about less than 1% of the population, please. It's just, you're about to kick a sizable portion of folks off of life-saving healthcare, and you're still litigating the fact that you don't even think trans is a thing, is a concept at all. It's just, okay. Yeah, okay. Jane sent me the link. This is great. Boebert Lauren Boebert forced to apologize after trying to kick out, quote unquote, a guy, but it wasn't, from women's bathroom at Capitol. Lauren Boebert stormed into a women's restroom in the Capitol to get a guy. She has had some bad picks in the past, so I think maybe she just the wording of that makes it sound like she's trying to like get a guy, like pick up a guy. Where'd y'all meet? We met in the bathroom, and he was just kind of lurking in the women's restroom, and I was like, this is a quality guy. Like, the guy I went to Beetlejuice with was a quality guy. My ex is a good guy, and I pick up lurking guys in the women's restroom. But the conservative Trump loyalists ended up apologizing after it turned out to be a case of mistaken identity. And you have Boebert getting Nancy Mace to bring in the SWAT team or whatever. Okay, so here is Sheldon Whitehouse talking about how when he first came to the Senate, he was so in awe and honored by the work they do there, and now he feels disgust given this legislation.
When I first got here, this chamber filled me with awe and wonderment. Our leader, Harry Reid, frequently called me his happiest senator. Such was the awe and wonderment that I felt here. Today, I feel disgust. This piece of legislation is corrupt. This piece of legislation is crooked. This piece of legislation is a rotten racket. This place feels to me today like a crime scene. Get some of that yellow tape and put it around this chamber. The midnight transfer of wealth in this bill is disgusting.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. Let me quickly, you can put this up on screen while I'm reading these posts. Look at, I'll keep repeating this, the exchange that they're willing to do, and you can read it for our video viewers. The breakdown of the numbers. Nettie P became a member. Thank you so much. It looks like they became a member twice. I don't know how that works, but that's awesome. Jane Addams, thank you so much. Dumpster Cheese says tariffs, groceries, caravans, Jesus H. Christ. David said something positive will happen regardless of what happens. If it passes, there will be an even bigger blue wave in 2026. If it doesn't pass, the working class and middle class win. That's all we can really think about. I agree. I totally agree. Think about it like that. Either we will mobilize and people just don't even concern yourself with if this can happen. It's gonna happen. If they push through this bill, we will mobilize a huge backlash to it. And that's all we can do. We can't control the fact that they're going to pass it, but we can control how we react. And it looks that they're adamant to jam it through by whatever means necessary. And if they do, we are going to be heartbroken for the people who will be impacted. But then it's just time to make sure people know. And we're already kind of winning on the issue because even Republicans aren't really for this bill. And the more they learn about it, the more they hate it. Here's another Republican advocating for it.
Okay, so this one, Senator Chris Coons, your colleague from across the aisle, is going to be up next on the show. And he said that this bill hurts everyday Americans. It takes away health care insurance coverage, food for people in need. He says this administration has not gotten prices down. And now this is going to be a tax break for billionaires and the wealthiest Americans. Polls show us that messaging is landing, that people are very skeptical. They have very negative impressions of this bill.
Well, it's just not true. It's a good thing that the clerk in the Senate right now just passed page 600. So they got a little ways to go, but they're reading the bill, and the truth is in the bill. The Medicaid reforms would affect able-bodied Americans, those who are sitting at home, who can work, who don't have a sick kid or a sick mom. They shouldn't receive Medicaid without without working. And on top of that, the bill would take Medicaid away from illegal immigrants. One of the most important amendments that we're going to vote on, hopefully sometime.
Not qualified federally anyways. So, this is the most quintessential Republican thing. You come up with a hypothetical that would make most people, I guess, upset. Not me. I don't care if you're Michael Phelps. I think you should have that able-bodied. I think that you should have health care provided by public funding. I think that everyone should have the option of having life-necessary health care. So their little examples don't really provoke me necessarily, but I understand why someone who themselves struggles to find affordable health care would be upset imagining someone who could be working but sits playing video games and masturbating all day long. Just what's modern war? What's the one? What's the video game?
Call of Duty?
Call of Duty. Thank you. Call of Duty and doing your duty, right? Doing your little Louie, right? Just all day long. They believe in their head there is an illegal immigrant who happens to be trans, who goes into bathrooms of their gender identity, but doesn't lie with their biological sex, who sits at home. All they do is they go to bathrooms, and like their work is they're an undocumented trans immigrant, and they go to bathrooms and they go home, and they go to bathrooms in public, and they harass people, and they go home, and they take Medicaid, and they take SNAP, and they sit on their couch, and they play Call of Duty, and they masturbate all day. That's it. That's who's getting Medicaid in Republicans' mind. It's just, that Xi Jinping lookalike? It's just people in those outfits, in leather, sitting on their couch, playing TikTok and masturbating all day long. And they get Medicaid. And somehow, despite the numbers not making any sense, they sit around all day and have enough money to cover everything. That's not what Medicaid does, by the way. But that's what they believe. Through the most eensy-weensy benefits that allow for a basic level of food and health care, somehow they don't have to work. They sit at home on their ass. And they think about the next bathroom they're going to go into so that they can creep on women. That's what they believe they're cutting here. What are they actually cutting? A disabled veteran's benefits. What are they actually cutting? A child's food. A working mom's health care. That's what they're actually cutting. But if they can convince their followers, and so then their followers go, I don't want the illegal trans to get Medicaid. And then they lose their Medicaid. It's going back to the Reagan welfare queen story. Those little story times they tell are so rare and unrepresentative of who we're even discussing. It's a bunch of lazy people who, because they get Medicaid, don't have to work. Where do you live, and how does that make any sense? You just don't need money for anything else? Once you have Medicaid, you're just chilling on everything? It's just a myth. It's a myth. But they convince their followers to buy into that myth, wanting so badly to punish that non-binary drag queen who doesn't work except for going to schools to do drag story time with the kids. and they end up ripping away their own benefits just to punish that myth they have in their head of a lazy person. Fred Wellman said This is their official talking point, and they can't even commit to the bit. There's no way on earth it will only impact able-bodied people. That's not how Medicare and Medicaid works. They desperately want you to think it's lazy poor people. Almost everyone is disabled, in a nursing home, or working in jobs that don't have health insurance. This will kick millions off their health care and close a quarter of nursing homes. You sign up to kick off the Xi Jinping lookalike, leather, drag, trans, illegal immigrant, lazy person, poor lazy person. You vote for that and you get a bunch of people who absolutely need it, who aren't lazy. They don't need healthcare because they're lazy. And that's what you end up doing to millions of people, maybe yourself. And by the way, I think that if you are a lazy drag queen, which I've never seen one of those, that's work, baby. Have you tried before? Have you been to space? I mean, I can't gyrate like that. You think I could gyrate like that? I can't. That's work. I like to see one of these Republicans get into drag and dance like Xi Jinping. And I looked into, you don't have to put this up, Jane, but just my little nightly reading last night was running the numbers on this, because this is also a mathematical truth, what I'm saying. And if you look at 73 million people were enrolled in Medicaid in late 2022. Of these, 37 million are working age adults. Among working age adults, 9.5 million are parents, 13.8 million are disabled, 13.9 million are able-bodied adults without dependents. But among those 13.9 million, 8.1 million worked 80 plus hours in December, 1.5 million worked 80 plus hours in other months, 0.3 million have been on Medicaid less than a year. So just 4 million are persistently workless, which is only about 5%, less than 1% of the total U.S. population. It is mathematically unreasonable to believe that eliminating coverage solely for non-working able-bodied adults would realize $930 billion in Medicaid savings. That math does not work out. That figure factors in a wide range of spending reductions across demographic groups, provider payments, children's insurance programs, and administration changes. So they're telling you it's just going to be getting off undocumented immigrants, which aren't federally qualified, and removing working people who should be working and they just sit at home all day. And if you look at the numbers of who that actually even applies to, doesn't work. They're going to have to cause nursing homes to shut down. They're going to have to cause children to be undernourished, food insecure. They're going to have to cause disabled folks to not have the necessary benefits. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. I don't know how this doesn't lead to the landslide of all landslides. Trump got an electoral, he didn't get a popular vote landslide, but he got an electoral landslide because Joe Biden was old. Really, but like all, and because there was resentment towards the party in power because of pandemic era conditions and because of a broader failure systemically that causes people to be upset with the incumbency. And Biden was really old. And Trump won in a huge electoral. While Biden was doing comparatively to Trump great things, comparatively to what I want, good things. Comparatively to what Trump's doing, amazing things. And we put Trump in as a people because we were upset, understandably, that we haven't seen the systemic change we need in this country and the world. And the pandemic conditions around the world led to a sweep, regardless of people's parties, of anti-incumbent elections. Because people were fed up with the price increases. And however the people in power were governing, it's a natural instinct to punish them for the pain that you're experiencing. But you couldn't make an argument that Biden tried to do that. He actually, by the data, handled pretty effectively all the pandemic stuff. But even if you blamed him for inflation, there's no argument you can make that he intentionally tried to raise prices on you. This will be an intentional decision to destroy people's lives. If that doesn't lead to an electoral landslide to the point that someone made in a super chat, then I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I wanted to make a big promise. Then I'll do this. I'll shave my head. No, that would be weird because then it would be a double lot. Like I would lose and then I would lose again. Fabian, thank you so much for sending the 5 gifted memberships. Let's see. So much going on in the chat. Sophie Ricardo became a member by clicking the join button. Thank you. Sophie Ricardo said trans mice and their W. What is that? What is that? W what? Are those
we?
And their wheat. Oh. Yes. Trans mice and their wee tennis. Grr. Yeah. That's what they picture. That's what they're doing. And they're just like, no, Medicaid. I'm just rolling in dough because I have healthcare? What? David said, I've been in mass save Medicaid Zoom calls. One had a disabled person throbbing her arms. She was trying to save her livelihood. Yeah. Yeah, this is serious stuff. Michael Rooney, thank you so much for the super chat. Philo X became a member. Herbie Wallace Thurnham said, Luke, be your happy, funny, and wandering reality self. You've even reached the small sub-sea level country of Holland. Keep it going. Love the stuff. Thank you so much. And then David said, if it is job loss penalty. If someone sick loses their job and then loses Medicaid, they will only get sicker and poorer. Yes. Yes, thank you. Okay, Senator Patty Murray had something. She said she's trying out a new way to communicate with her Republican colleagues, and she screenshot in all caps. GOP's big ugly bill kicks people off healthcare and food assistance. Hospitals will close. Kids with disabilities will lose caregivers. Big winners, billionaires. Total fraud. It polls like garbage because it is. GOP should drop it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So, communicating like Trump. Then political reporting. Louisiana Hospitals warn Mike Johnson of devastation from mega bill. Every major health system in Louisiana is warning Speaker Mike Johnson and the rest of the state's congressional delegation that the Senate GOP's planned Medicaid cuts would be historic in their devastation. I don't even know how to get my head around this. I kept looking at Jaden the other day while we were going through some of these numbers because I kept trying to verify it. Like, am I tripping here? There's no way, right? Wrong. There is a way, and they're doing it. And I kept saying, how is this real? Because it would be very difficult to craft a worse legislation. And this is Trump's agenda. And the very people, working class folks who swung in Trump's direction are going to be devastated. And it's not like they're, oops, we devastated you. We didn't mean to. And there are some things that Republicans have done terribly before, and Democrats, that were accidental. And you go, dang it. But I see how you thought you were doing the right thing. There's no excuse here. They have every warning they would need to. But they're going to I'm telling you, some portion of the country is going to be convinced as they're now hungrier and they're now less healthy and they don't have the coverage they need. And they have a brother or a aunt or whatever who no longer has their disability benefits. They're going to be thinking, but I trust Trump because I'm convinced that some liberal somewhere was mooching off the system. And remember, there are people who will mooch off of systems, but just remember, you have to be smart. You have to be smart. If you look at a lot of these case scenarios, the bureaucratic effort and resources that would go into adding all of the checks. That's another thing, the paperwork barriers where people who are qualified just aren't able to verify that they're qualified. Or there's a gap in time as they try to figure out, what are the hurdles to, and then the form, it didn't get submitted, and the person forgot to bring it to the office, so then it didn't get filed. And all that time, they don't have the necessary coverage they need. And often that process of adding all these paperwork barriers, all the staff who has to facilitate that, funding all of the different obstacles actually is more expensive than just not having those obstacles in the first place. It's costing more to implement all of the different checks in many of these examples, and it's kicking a bunch of people off who are qualified but just in some way weren't able to verify through the paperwork than just not having those in place. Then you have Senator Raphael Warnock.
The fate of rural hospitals in Georgia, in Alaska, in Louisiana, and little towns all over this nation that are right now barely hanging on is on the line. And the scraps that they are throwing them while cutting them will not save them. And my friends on the other side of the aisle know it. They know that these scraps that they're throwing at rural hospitals will not save them. And so in a very real sense, lives are on the line. We are in a moral moment because something else is on the line. I submit that the character of the country is on the line. In a real sense, the question tonight is, who are we? Not who do we tell ourselves we are, but who are we really?
Yeah, and you know what was running through my head? Trump or you, Kamala, them. Let's see if I can get this ad. This ad was pulled to make a huge difference in the election. Let's watch.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
This was one of the most, it was researched to be one of the most effective campaign ads. And I was sitting actually at dinner, and I was going off, right? Just, and I was thinking, what the hell? How do I get to do this? I was, like whenever you have an out-of-body moment, I came out of myself for a second, and I saw myself, and I was like, what's it, cook? Is that, cook? I said that in my head. I said, yes, King. I said, hot. Jaden, what? Jaden, what? Tell me what? Yes, I'm serious. He's just nodding his head. Okay. I'm picking up on the terms, the Gen Z terms. I said, bake that dish. I said it. Jaden left his desk. What if you need to cut a camera? You can't leave the control center. I said that in my head. I was outside of my body, and I was looking at me, and I was like, "You just said, have you ever had one of those moments where normally I try not to talk too much about politics at certain settings, because a lot of people don't like it. But here it was so close to the election, and I was just going down the list. And Trump said terminate the Constitution, and here's his threats to media outlets, and here's the economic analysis that proves his agenda's worse, and it was just and so I'm outside of my body looking at myself, and I'm thinking, the people I'm talking to here, there's no way that they will not vote for Kamala now after this argument that I just made. And it was one of those, like, can we record this? It was good. I was also drinking, so maybe it wasn't as good as I thought, but let's just assume it was good. And one of the guys said, yeah, but have you seen that ad? This sounds like I'm telling a fake story. They said, sir, tears pouring down their face, and they said, sir, you're so handsome, you're cooking so hard and hot. The oven's on, and you're it. They said to me, right out of Central Casting. So this is real. And he said, I watch a lot of football, and on NFL, they're playing this ad a lot that says, Trump is for you, Kamala's for they, them. And it's about sex change. Like, well, that's really, oof, But that, though, I felt like I had like a 10-minute monologue of just a total case. and why these culture wars are a distraction. Like I had already addressed that, and boom, it was, yeah, but have you seen that? Now I ended up compelling this person, threatening this person into voting. No, I committed a federal crime. No, I convinced him with good argumentation, but it was all about that ad you just watched. It was, something is, yes. And I went through even on that, that policy was in place under Trump. She was just saying she's going to follow the law that's already on the books. Meh. But it didn't matter. And then, so this comes to my mind because you have people who saw that ad and thought, I don't want, what is that group? I feel like that number of people, sex changes for trans inmates? How many are there? What are we talking about? I feel like more people die because they played Wii tennis too hard than trans inmates who are actively getting a sex change while they're in prison. So people voted because they didn't want that person to get, I guess, a form of health coverage. And then they lose their health. It's just, hey, MAGA, what's the update on that issue? Are you getting it? Are you happy now? Are you happy that you spent so much time thinking about trans sports? The two Maine high school athletes that Trump was giving Maine all this hell for? And I've said my stance, it's a nuanced stance on that issue, but still. And that you were convinced that was why you needed to vote for Trump, and other issues, the economic uncertainty and the stuff that he also was lying about, the real pain you felt, but the lies he told about it. And now he was going to solve it. And then now, so that the trans inmate, I want to interview whoever that is. Find me the trans inmate who's getting a sex change. And MAGA, I'll say it. I'll say no. I'll say no, sir, or no, ma'am. And if I do that, can you please vote to protect the other 12 million people's health coverage? Please? Does that work for you? It's insane. It's just insane. But no need to fear. You might die by getting hit by a fireball. A literal like in the sky. What does that even mean? I saw this headline and I was like, sure. Everything we have going on, let me get hit. I bet more people have died because a fireball came down from the sky and hit them in the head than trans inmates getting sex change operations who also have a younger brother who's an undocumented immigrant.
I want to go off script because what is this? I've been told we are looking at dashcam footage of some kind of fireball that was seen by people in multiple states, including South Carolina, Florida, and Alabama. And in Georgia, there were reports of a piece of debris striking a home where it smashed through the roof, the ceiling, before it cracked the floor inside. The American Meteor Society received more than 150 reports about it. Mike Hankey is operations manager there. He joins us now. Thanks for being with us this morning, Mike.
Hi, thank you.
I'm sorry. I don't want to do this. I don't know how this connects. This is not going to be like nicely timed. It just needs to come out like a tick. Fireball. That's it. It's out. It's like a sneeze.
So I learned that this fireball, I was today
Fireball. Shut up.
years old when I learned this fireball, is called a bolide. What is that? Did I pronounce it correctly? And what happened that would allow all of us to see it?
So a bolide is a very special class of meteor. Very small percentage of meteors are actually a bolide, but it's a type of meteor that's large enough that it will break apart and blow up in the sky, and then fragments from it oftentimes will fall to the earth. And this is one of those times. It was a...
That's wild. Yep. That just fits, It just fits our moment somehow. I saw a right-wing account posting this clip. It was supposed to, it looks kind of censored. Let's see. There we go. There's some censoring. Show this. It's nude people. You know what they look like. I don't need to show you. It's nude people. And I'm really worried actually about YouTube now that I didn't realize it was a little missing censor. Point is, it was nude people in a parade in Toronto. And it was, people saying, let's see, normalize nudity. The human skin is not a sin. Can we just one thing at a time? All right, let me say something. Sometimes people comment. Just don't comment. I love the comments. But just if you're going to say, Luke, don't joke about blah, blah, blah. We get a lot of those and it really drives me crazy in a unique way. No, I am going to. That's the point. Okay, with that being said. My dad is a leading nudity activist, and he was horrified by what you said about nudity. Okay, I get it. But we haven't even gotten the other stuff. I think we need to. Let me put it this way. I don't know why. What's so bad about clothes? I'm a little confused about that. What's so bad? When did clothes go out of style? That's my question. Because here's actually what I'm thinking, semi-seriously. If we normalize this culture, number one, okay, maybe I'm just like a prude or whatever, but I think it's kind of, I don't know if everyone wants to be subjected to other people's genitals. The look, right? But if you want to go in the places that are like, oh, it's a nudist community, great. But just kind of out in public where anyone could be, it's I don't think that's appropriate. But what do you have left to show? To me, one of the things so fun about clothes is that it's sort of like you have these different layers. So then if you're revealing yourself to somebody, it there's this excitement. But if we're all nude all the time, where's that excitement? It's gone. I'm just ready. Jimbo said, Luke, can we not joke about schlongs? My dad was a schlong. I'm serious. Can we not? I don't know what this is. Maybe this is a part of town where we know kids aren't going to be around or something. But if you're just out in public with no clothes on, yeah, I find that wrong. I do. And more funnily, don't give it all away. It's like, you show me the whole movie before I even get to the theater? Why am I going to go to the theater? Show me a preview. Okay, a little skimpy outfit. Okay. But you're going to show me everything up front? And I've just never gotten and again, I'm just different strokes, no pun intended. I just have never understood. I like my clothes on. I really do. Out in public. But again, if this is not specific to a area of town where people can avoid it, we got to be careful. And this is a broader thing I don't want to get into because I'm just not ready to scream at y'all. But we have to be mindful of our parades too. Yes, I'm saying it. We have to. Our parades have to be, depending on where they are, there are certain ones that are more, private. Fine. You do you. But public ones that anyone could be at, of any age, we need appropriate stuff. Fun stuff, but not so over the line that you distract from what our message is, right? About love? Yeah, baby. Natural Born Keeler said, finally, the one and only Luke live in form and color. Then Jenny said, I was there in Toronto, Luke. Not my bag. Yeah. Thank you. The Crazy became a member. I appreciate you. We just, when did clothes go out of style? I missed the memo. Natural Born Keeler sent a gift of membership. I appreciate you greatly. Let's just see here for a second. Maybe we wrap up. You know, we've been going so long. Man, I'm having too much fun. Okay, I appreciate all of you. On that note, be good out there. Keep your clothes on. And I'll talk to you next time.